heaven, West Virginia.
People who are listening to Joe Rogan's podcast don't necessarily believe it to be bad information. So there was an analogy drawn between Doritos and Joe Rogan's podcast. People know that Doritos are not necessarily good for them. That you're not going to find a nutritional expert who says, you should eat a lot of Doritos. But there are a lot of people who listen to Joe Rogan's podcast who believe that he's actually the truth teller. They believe the opposite, that Joe Rogan is good for an informational diet. And I think that's what's so important, is that the people who are listening to him don't believe it to be bad information. So it's difficult, I guess, for them to make that good choice of consuming information when they think that the podcast hosting people with anti-vaccine rhetoric is really the truth-telling podcast.
Kat, you made the Doritos reference. I rather liked it. What do you say to Oliver?
I think that it just ultimately comes down to the question of how do you want to solve this, and that's sort of where the analogy comes in. Here's people who, they like something that we, who consider ourselves more enlightened, don't think is good for them. We think that they're internalizing this misinformation, that they're using it to make bad decisions. But if you took away Joe Rogan by deplatforming him, just as if you took away Doritos, would they seek out better information? Would they seek out, like a podcast like New York Times The Daily, or would they start reading the Wall Street Journal? I don't know. I think that that's sort of the fundamental question here. So it does seem like increasingly this completely alternative media ecosystem that has to be understood, and it is that Rogan media ecosystem. And you're saying those listeners are not going to go over to they're not going to read the Associated Press if Rogan disappears. So I feel like what Kat you're saying is just taking a more realistic approach to this whack-a-mole of bans. Yeah, I just think that providing as much information as possible is, in the hopes that it will eventually get to the people who need it, providing as much good information as possible is probably a better bet than trying to, shut down somebody who's already got a massive popular platform, from reaching the people who are going to seek him out no matter what. In the case of something like Mouse, you've got this Tennessee school district, quietly doing something.
All right, guys, that's in the video, and the mainstream media is still attacking Joe Rogan for his stance on mandates and the jab. So why are they still attacking him? It's not like he's going to change his mind about it. It's because they're trying to get him deplatformed, number one. Another music artist has come out, Joni Mitchell, saying that she wants all of her music taken off of Spotify as well. Well, they've obliged, and she's off of Spotify as well. And I believe there's another artist, I can't remember who it is, which he's going to be off Spotify as well. And now you got these ass clowns on CNN trying to push the narrative that he needs to be deplatformed. And in my opinion, all you're going to do is get him on a different platform, and guess what? He's going to be more popular than ever. I mean, all you're doing is throwing more and more advertisement for him to get bigger. Best thing for you to do is actually ignore him. And do I agree with him? For the most part, yes. But especially when it comes to his freedom of speech to say what he wants, whether it's right or not, that's not my decision to choose. That's yours, the listener of his podcast. I enjoy listening to his podcast because he has some pretty good information about physical health, and especially when it comes to working out. Also, some of his guests on there are just funnier than hell. It's a good show. I mean, it's better than Howard Stern or some of the other people out there that's doing radio. Most of the radio is really boring and it's nonsense. This podcast is really good, and he has different political viewpoints on there to argue their how they look at things, instead of having an echo chamber like CNN and MSNBC does. And that's the reason those platforms or those media sources are not doing very good when it comes to ratings. They're actually doing very, very bad. And that's the main reason. It's because of them being echo chambers. They don't have people that disagree with them on their channels telling them something different when it comes to the mandates or the jab. But guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoy. Please hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Peace.